Thank you for coming to join me once again. Not long ago, a couple of weeks, I think, I shared with you something from a book called The Gospel in the Willows. It's a devotional book that's based on The Wind in the Willows. Well, as I looked at my bookshelf this afternoon, I noticed the book that was next to The Wind in the Willows. It's called The Hobbit Devotional, and it's by Ed Strauss. There you go. So the rediscovery of this book and the fact that I have been to 2 online birthday parties this afternoon. In fact, one of them is continuing in the room next door as we speak. And the fact that I have a friend who is particularly into all things Hobbit, you know who you are, leads me to read you this chapter, which is about parties. Bilbo did like visitors. His hallway had lots and lots of pegs for hats and coats, indicating he didn't expect 1 or 2 guests at a time. He liked his house to be full. Now, all hobbits are hospitable, but Bilbo took feasting and merrymaking to a new level. He was a regular party animal. You remember the party he threw on his 111th birthday? It's in the first chapter of The Fellowship of the Ring, if you're not sure. The Shire had never seen such an extravagant celebration, and the party wasn't an isolated incident. Tolkien doesn't describe every bash that Bilbo hosted, but we can be quite sure that he had them. There he was, a well-to-do bachelor living alone in a huge hobbit hole with many bedrooms for guests. Bilbo had enough beds to accommodate 13 dwarves all at once, although a few did have to sleep on couches. Mr. Baggins loved playing the host. He just wanted to know who his guests were and when they were coming. He wasn't quite so fond of strangers showing up unannounced. So when those 13 dwarves arrived at his door and made themselves at home, Bilbo was rather put out. After hurrying to the kitchen to load food and drinks on trays, he became very hot, red in the face, and annoyed. The Hobbit didn't know these dwarves. He hadn't invited them, yet they had barged in and imposed on his kindness, ordering raspberry jam, mince pies, cheese and salad, tea and coffee, eggs, cold chicken, pickles and cake, as if he were the waiter. Bilbo was flustered. And worse, he had a growing fear that he might run out of food. Not only that would that embarrass him, but Shire custom dictated that a host feed his guests first, even if the host had to go hungry. Mr. Baggins didn't enjoy last-minute scrambles. He didn't like food to run out. His 111th birthday party had been the perfect example of the way he liked to do things. Presents were ordered a year ahead of time. Wagon supplies of party food arrived weeks early. Invitations were sent out and names ticked off meticulously on the list. The unexpected party, on the other hand, was not Bilbo's type, and dwarves were not his type of guests. Early on, Bilbo had even wished that Gandalf would leave. The wizard was bad enough. But dwarves? They took the cake, literally. There is more to that party, and if you like the sound of this, I suggest that you go and read the whole of the book. If you've never read The Hobbit before, it's a great story. But Bilbo, poor Bilbo, he struggles rather with this party, which is sad because normally Bilbo really loves a party. And you know, I think God is quite into parties as well. See, if you look way back in the Bible, in the Old Testament, God gives the Israelites a whole spread of different feast days across the year, times when they were meant to stop, celebrate, and party together. And then coming up to the New Testament, Jesus was quite often to be found at parties. His first miracle was turning water into wine at a wedding. But my favourite party that Jesus goes to is the Matthew party. So Jesus has just called Matthew, or Levi as he's sometimes called, the tax collector, to come and be one of Jesus's followers. And by way of response, what does Matthew do? He throws a party. He invites everybody that he knows, mostly people that nice people don't want to mix with. But for Matthew, life has changed completely. He wants to share his new friend Jesus with his other friends, and he wants to celebrate the way that Jesus has changed life for him. Celebrations are good for us. They make us take time out to look at the good stuff in life. Do you know that according to psychologists, celebration boosts our well-being? And they don't have to be celebrations that are about big life-changing things like Matthew's party. They don't even have to be smaller things like the birthday party that's going on in my other room. You can celebrate really small things. I don't know what it would be for you. Maybe you could celebrate having been back on your bike for the first time in a couple of years, learning a new piece on your musical instrument, finishing a long book, or even seeing loads of sand lizards in one afternoon. So, a suggestion for today. Why not have a celebration this evening, regardless of who you're with or not with? Take some time, even if it's just a moment, to stop and to actively acknowledge even the smallest of good things in life. And maybe while you're at it, you could say thank you to God for those things too. So why not? Just a bit of a celebration tonight. I'm going to finish off as ever with a prayer. And if you would like to make that prayer your prayer, then do say or message an amen at the end. Father God, we thank you for the good things in life, from the big things like the way that Jesus can change someone's life, through the things like birthday parties that are fun to celebrate, to the smallest of things that make us feel good, like finishing an art project or seeing something amazing. Lord, help us to be people who appreciate all these things and take time out to acknowledge and to celebrate them. Amen. Thank you for joining me. If you're someone who normally watches live, this is just to say that tomorrow I'm actually going to be live streaming at 5:45 because at 6 o'clock I have been invited to go to an online licensing service, which is a slightly strange idea, but I don't want to miss it. And I certainly don't want to be the one that walks in late. So if you're watching live, 5:45 tomorrow, hope to see you then. And thank you for joining me tonight. Bye for now.